Should be cool, but we are going to jump into the next match. Maryland's going to throw out the Warrior. And it looks like Johns Hopkins is going to make a read and throw out their Druid here. So it looks like it's going to be mid-range Druid versus Control Warrior.
Yeah, this is actually an interesting matchup because before TGT, this matchup was thought as heavily Druid favored. Most of the time what happens was Druid, plays ramp early and then just plays threat after threat, and eventually what happens is the Warrior can kind of keep up in removal, but eventually their life just gets too low. If you count things like Dr. Boom, Boombot's doing a lot of damage, plus sometimes there's no answer for the Dr. Boom. Ancient Allure being able to cycle through a lot of Druid stack. Eventually what happened was they would eventually have combo, and you probably die from there because your life is slightly too low for that. The matchup has changed a lot since TGT. KitKats has kind of been one of the pioneers of Warrior, and I think two of the big things that people started putting in Control Warrior is the Slam and Bash Control Warrior. Yeah. Bash gives them just a little bit of extra removal they need. Slam is extremely good card. It's just like part of it is because Slam can kind of like disguise you as a patron word to some degree, and it's also pretty good in the meta right now. Not a lot of decks like Zoo and Hunter anymore, so Slam is really good against like these mid-range decks.
Holy moly! Look at that hand.
It's one of the best possible hands for Druid.
Yeah.
Early ramp, Innervate, Well Growth, and one of the most important minions to develop early as Druid against Control Warrior is Shade. Shade's much better against Control Warrior than Patron because Patron, it's almost like you don't want to keep stuff stealth too long. You need to get that early pressure going. But against Control Warrior, Shade feels great to just keep in stealth for a long time. So
yeah, this looks for Maryland to be a more standard control lineup. A lot of times if you see Cruel Taskmaster, it means there's no slams.
Yeah.
So that the list that you were talking about earlier, a lot of times cuts Cruel Taskmasters and cuts Acolyte of Pains to make room for the slams in the bashes. So yeah, this should be a more standard lineup that a lot of people are used to seeing. But that is the dream start for Druid in this matchup.
And also, this Innervate and Ancient Allure makes this actually become the dream start.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can say just Wall Growth into Shade and Shredder and then kind of fizzle out. With the Innervate Lore, they're not likely to run out of cards. I definitely would have liked to see Maryland. They seem to be playing a very value style, but you have to recognize when the matchup becomes more about tempo. I would have loved to see them play a Cruel Taskmaster on their Armor Smith here. It makes the minions trade much better, and also Cruel Taskmaster is not exactly an important card to keep in this matchup. This matchup is about early power on board from Warrior side. Playing the Cruel Taskmaster last turn would have given them a huge, it would have changed the tempo situation on board a lot. They could still play TeSPA on turn 4, and then would have been having a 2-2 and a 3-3 on board here.
Yeah.
So it would have been able to deal with the Nat Pagel, and also would just set him up for a much better situation early. This matchup is basically tempo based, board based. So.
Oh wow! Nat Pagel does draw a card, and this seems to me like it's going to be a pretty easy Innervate Ancient of Lore turn. Not really anything else to play, and this is one of the strongest, as we said, starts in the game. Coin Wild Growth into Shade, into Shredder, into Innervate Ancient of Lore is the dream start.
That is the dream
for Druids.
I don't think it can possibly get better than that. You can make maybe a argument that
I don't think
Dr. Boom here would be better.
Oh yeah, that's true. Dr. Boom.
let's
Dr. Boom into Emperor Thorsan. There you go. I guess you would have probably innovated out the Emperor Thorsan earlier on.
Yeah.
If that was the case, but yeah. Really solid start for Johns Hopkins, and this is looking rough for Maryland. They do have that Cruel Taskmaster still. They do have the shield block. So they can start trading up here, like Cruel Taskmaster, kill off the Nat Pagel, and Despite into the Ancient of Lore.
Yeah, so another big change in this matchup from before is a fairly common card in this matchup now. Is Justicar Trueheart for Warrior. It's another part of the new cards. Oh, there it is. It's another part of the new cards that makes Control Warrior, a lot better against Druid, because this matchup is very life based for Warrior. The more life they have, the more they play around combo, the more they can utilize their weapons.
Yeah.
Part of this is that if you don't have the armor, your late game weapons, it's very hard to use as removal since, if you just keep hitting big minions that Druid have, you're just going to run out of life. Justicar helps you win the fatigue and also just recover your life a lot, so.
Yeah. And speaking of Justicar Trueheart, you're talking about yesterday, I could feel it. As soon as you said Justicar Trueheart, I'm like, I know it's the next card.
Yeah.
So Maryland's still very healthy, even after that really good start from Johns Hopkins. They're sitting above 30 effective health with some pretty good mid-game creatures to play, but usually that's not what you want to see as Warrior. Yeah, you want these mid-game creatures to fight, and I guess these are the mid-range creatures that you want, but they are still going to take a lot of damage on the backswing from these creatures, and that's usually how Druid wins. They, have a decent board early, the Warrior takes damage from weapons, and they just don't have enough life gain to stay out of combo range. But like you said, cards like Justicar Trueheart really help.
Yeah. A fairly greedy play to set up Justicar over a shield main here, since for the most part the minion as a 6/3 is much more vulnerable to removal. One of the reasons, though, it's kind of cool, one of the reasons is shield main was so weak to swipe already that Justicar might just be better to develop. That way you can start using your hero power. They don't really have the mana curve to utilize their hero power a lot for the next couple turns, so.
Actually 3 damage off lethal.
Wow, yeah. There's a innervate combo potential.
Yeah, it's brewing.
28 damage.
It's really close, but close doesn't cut it.
Yeah,
especially with Justicar Trueheart and Armorsmith on the board.
Yeah. I feel like this swipe is extremely effective with spell power. Swipe is one of the best scaling cards to spell power, since spell power benefits. Generally, spell power benefits AoE spells more because you're getting the +1 damage on all the splash effects. So.
Yeah, and usually spells scale linearly. Like the spell, like say Wrath goes from 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Or Swipe goes up from 4 to 5 and from 1 to 2, so it sort of double dips.
I think a little bit of a misplay from Johns Hopkins, choosing to swipe the Justicar instead of. Oh no! They traded the Azure Drake into the 1/3 Armorsmith instead of going face and just hero powering down the 1 health Armorsmith.
Yeah.
A little bit of lost damage and 1 extra damage on the Azure Drake.
Sometimes having 3 people can make a team overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And they try and think over too many options instead of just, going back to their basics or mechanical play, if you want to call it. Fundamental play, I guess, is the better term for it. And missed damage. Maryland's still relatively healthy. They put down the shield main in this turn. They'll go back up to 28. They're debating, though.
Maryland's out this game is actually to somehow take over board control. Druid even though Druid had a really good hand, right now, Johns Hopkins, they have a little bit of a spell-heavy hand. And a really spell-heavy hand now. So if they can just remove every minion, and then, the comboing face without lethal isn't that great, where it can recover very easily with cards like Alexstrasza and Shieldmane. And also, if Maryland can just stay ahead on board and kill the last couple of minions that Johns Hopkins has, they can place a Ysera on turn 9, and that's one of the win conditions of Control Warrior against Druid, because Ysera has almost no answers from the Druid side. Even a card like Keeper doesn't really deal with Ysera. A 4/12 is, still a 4/12.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They do have a way to deal with this Sludge Belcher. Second swipe kills it off and does 2 damage to face. They can still kill off the slime and then maybe develop like a Darnassus Aspirant, hope to set up lethal for the following turn.
Yeah, Maryland's just really looking for a couple more removal spells. Something like another Death Spider Fire War Axe, or even something like a Shield
bash.
Slam, or something like that would be perfect for them. Because once they do remove these last minions, Johns Hopkins doesn't have any more threats for a little bit, and you can easily armor up with your Tank Up ability, which armors up for 4 every turn compared to 2. Oh, really good card.
Well then, the rough thing is they don't have anything to play with the Deathbite. And if they don't have anything to play with the Deathbite, then they can tank up afterwards. So if they take out the Ash Drake...
Not a perfect use of mana. I actually might prefer to see them take out the Aspirant here instead of the Azure Drake, because Since Adrics at a 4-2, what they can do is attack something else next turn plus the Cruel Taskmaster. So if they're thinking ahead and going into turn 9, a move here is to Despite the Darnassus Aspirant in turn 9 to attack something else, Cruel Taskmaster, and play Lotheb and armor up again.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they decided to go for the Azure Drake. They might be tunneling on the spell power, but you just don't really have anything that benefits from spell power other than Swipe. Wrath, yeah, but they don't have any creatures on the board, so...
This is so close to lethal.
Yeah.
2 damage off.
Yeah, they've been a couple damage off nearly every turn for the last 3 or 4 turns, but that tank up is just so valuable moving into the later stage of the game.
Interesting tech card. Not often seen this meta right now, but...
Well, Purple ran it in his victory run to the America's Championship the last weekend, and in a meta filled with handlocks.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind to see a Black Knight just come down here. There's only really 2 Sludge Belchers in Warrior generally, or 1, and 1's already gone. There's generally no other taunts that Control Warrior runs, and since this matchup is about tempo, they have combo in their hand. You know, they just need a little bit more. I'd like to see Black Knight come down just for tempo here.
They don't really have any other creature to play besides Big Game Hunter, and if they use that, they have no way to deal with something like an Alexstrasza
as a tempo minion to Black Knight, so... I feel like Maryland kind of regrets not killing Aspirant here over the Drake because
they can't kill it off.
They can't kill the whole board now. Oh, okay, this is definitely a really good draw. This does allow pretty easy board clear.
Yeah.
You can shield slam the Black Knight instead if you want the board clear.
They can kill the Aspirant, shield slam the Black Knight, and also tank up at the end of it all too after they play Shield Maiden. So looks like they are going to hold off on the Shield Slam. Shield Slam with tank up is also allows you to save it for a little bit, because 4 armor gain on the turn allows you to take out most things if you can hold on to at least some armor from the turn before. And once again, Johns Hopkins doesn't pick up a substantial creature here. They only pick up a Keeper of the Grove, so still a handful of spells. There's a possibility that soon they might pick up something like a second Savage Roar, which will allow them to double combo. Like if they had picked up a Savage Roar this turn, it would have been lethal.
Yeah, I do want to make it clear, even though it seems like Maryland has been behind this whole game, they're very close to taking the advantage here, because we did talk about that Just card earlier, and we did also talk about how Johns Hopkins has a whole bunch of reactive spells, not a lot of strong minions like Drill Claws and Shredders and more Ancient of Wars or Dr. Boom, something like that. So they're very close to losing this game, Johns Hopkins, because because tank up armors so fast throughout the game. Once Maryland gets a little bit of a lead, which they're pretty close to doing this turn, considering Johns Hopkins is almost running out of moves. Once the tank up starts taking over the game and things like Ysera come down, your combo is going to be a little bit too late at that point. So it's actually extremely close. Bash.
Ooh.
Pretty good card to see. Not a great bash target right now, but just to get that armor going.
Yeah.
Once you're out of combo range, you feel much better about just go ahead and slam down your Ysera.
Yeah. So they can load that bash plus tank up here, which would gain them 7 armor, take off the Aspirant off the board, and not allow Johns Hopkins to make any moves back onto the board with spells. Yeah, so they would pretty much have to draw into a creature in order to make anything happen.
That's a huge amount of armor if you think about it. That's 5 armor in 1 turn. No, that's more than 5. 7 armor in 1 turn. Yeah, they didn't even play something like Shield Block this turn.
So that's 26 effective health. What did they draw? Azure Drake's a pretty good pickup. Allows them to cycle even further for maybe another creature.
And play another threat.
Yeah.
Wrath is not what you want to see here.
No. And they're going to go down to 23 health.
23. This might actually be the turn to just plop down your Ysera.
Yeah, Shield Slam the Azure Drake. Kill off the Keeper of the Grove. Yeah. 23 is out of range of double combo as well. So this would probably be the safest.
You're right. This is actually the perfect turn to just plop down your Ysera. You're pretty much safe against anything. I mean, realistically, there's probably not double combo anyways.
Well,
since double combo would have killed you a couple turns.
Yeah.
For most of these turns, you would have died to double combo, but it's always a viable top deck. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We know that. Oh, Sylvanas.
Sylvanas is one of the only ways that Druids can deal with Ysera effectively, but it also means that they have to, clear the board in order to do so, which usually is possible.
Sylvanas is a card after you plop into Ysera, you're always scared they have the dream.
Yeah.
But there's no dream right now, Laughing Sister. If Johns Hopkins does decide to play Sylvanas, they do need to think of something else to their mana. I'd like to see a Sylvanas and a Wrath here.
Yeah. And, I mean, that could be a turnaround because all of a sudden we're looking at a situation where, let's say Johns Hopkins plays Sylvanas. Well, actually, if they play the Wrath, then they give up the option of being able to kill off their own Sylvanas after it attacks into Ysera.
That's true. It might just be a little bit too greedy to just Sylvanas and hold everything off. For the most part, it should go okay unless the warrior has a dream or something.
I think maybe holding on to the Wrath might be a little bit better of an option. Because even if they play like something like Alex Strasek here, they can almost guarantee themselves a steal on the... Wow, so...
Interesting. I can see it. So this is there's no easy way for Maryland to kill the Sylvanas, but again, like not playing a Wrath here might cost them in the long run here because a move that Maryland has, which is very good here, is just to go offensive Alex Straza, 9 damage to the face. That would put Johns Hopkins at, I believe, 12 life, and setting up for Grom Cruel Taskmaster next turn with a big board as well. Even though you are going to get one of your minions stolen by the Sylvanas, you might be able to threaten lethal with the Grom Cruel Taskmaster the turn after.
Yeah. You would die. They would die to double combo, but not a single combo. Because right now they are at 22 life, so even with Sylvanas, Sylvanas would be 21 after combo. So Innervate would actually do it. So maybe that's a little bit risky.
Yeah.
But I don't really... I guess they might want to deal with the Sylvanas this turn and hope it steals something inconsequential, which seems a little bit risky, and they're running out of time.
I wonder if this play means they're just going to trade into Sylvanas. Oh, let's see. Whoa, no attack on the Lotheb. Oh,
that's brutal.
This is what happens. One of the main implications of this format when you have 2 or 3 people sitting around on Skype, you're losing too much time talking about it. A lot of times when I'm in this situation, I actually kind of just prefer quiet, so I can just sit down and think about it, because it's definitely not an easy turn. A lot of different options.
Yeah.
What you do this turn for them?
Eminent's knees weak and his arms were his palms were sweaty.
Yeah, definitely changes the whole dynamic of the game, right? Wow, this is a great move by Johns Hopkins, effectively stealing the Ysera.
That's sort of depressing.
Yeah.
Especially since Maryland actually used their Cool Taskmaster basically for nothing last turn, so now they can't even use Cool Taskmaster and Grom to clear off the Ysera that they basically just handed Johns Hopkins for free.
But it might have just given the game to Johns Hopkins on a silver platter.
Yeah.
It was looking pretty good, actually. You know, we were talking about this matchup. It's actually
they just
a lot
spaghettied
closer
it.
now. Yeah, with the TGT, with the whole tank up, extremely good against Druid. Tank up plus Ysera, the magic 2 cards you need.
Is that lethal? If they're at 26 health, if the Ysera awakens, they do 5 to bring them down to 21. They would have 12 damage from combo plus 6. No, it wouldn't be lethal.
Not quite.
With the Innovate.
Setting up for the Ysera awakens, the Wrath cycle.
Yeah. It looks like Innervate. Dr. Boom is going to be the choice, and I don't see a way out of this one for Maryland. It seemed like they had a way back into the game after
they need
wrestling control.
Brawl would be a way back into this game. Oh! Now they need the Boom bot to win, or Dr. Boom, and then BJH.
Yeah, so it's basically they
anything
just don't want
Ysera
to survive.
Do not want Ysera to survive.
But if the world has told me anything, if the world of Hearthstone has told me anything, it's that when you make misplay, then you get punished for it, and they get punished for it. Oh my goodness. At least the Boombots only did 1 to face, but Maryland, they're probably thinking in their head, not like this, not like this.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels bad.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
Not quite enough damage, still 20 out of 23, but
it doesn't it doesn't really matter at this
point. Too many
point.
turns of Ysera. Ysera is a card that draws a dream card every turn.
Yeah.
Definitely can take over the game just in value. Even though, Warrior generally wins this matchup through value, especially with cards like Justicar. You can take Druid to Fatigue, but you generally won't win the value game if someone steals your Sarah.
Yeah.
So
if you let someone steal your Sarah for nearly nothing,
yeah,
that tends to happen. And I don't think Maryland can really find anything that's going to keep him in the game. They can Grom and clear off the Druid of the Claw and tank up to put themselves at 18 health, but it's not going to be enough. And Johns Hopkins, with the Force of Nature Saboteur that they've had in their hand for about a bajillion turns, is finally going to be able to emerge.
that's a lot of damage.
The practicality of Force of Nature Saboteur intrigued me. You summon trees and then you make them angry?
Yes. Angry Treants.
All right, Johns Hopkins ties it up 1-1. And it looks like they are going to switch it up